This is Ghassan Ejjeh, Vice President of Besix Corporation, with a wealth of insights on the water sector. And we are now at WEX Global 2016 in Lisbon, Portugal. I want to ask Ghassan whether you think the water discourse is moving forward. You have been to so many conferences. I see you in most of the conferences. So do you think we are still discussing the same things, or are we actually moving forward?
It's a very nice question. That's the story of my life. That's precisely what I'm trying to really get to, especially with age creeping in. I am trying to come to a position to say, have I succeeded, or me and my colleagues, have we succeeded in getting anywhere? The answer is this one is very complicated, like everything else, and varied. Yes, we are making headway, but making headway in some way, and also we are practically nowhere in other things. The water issue is really not just a matter of life and death, but it's affected by a lot of the things which are facing the world in general today. We are, on the economic side, we are insisting that we should always have 2-3% growth per year worldwide. That means that we'll improve our standard of living, and we will subsequently need more water. And we need more water, we need more energy, which is again affecting the way we live, with affecting the resources of the world. So we are trying to solve a problem which is getting bigger all the time. So that's not easy. However, having said this, at least the awareness which has happened up to now is very healthy. People are, in general, are aware of the gravity of the problem, but I'm not so sure we have a consensus on the solution. We are, for example, I'll give you a very vivid example which really gets me even red under the collar. We had the Paris conference recently. We had done a lot of work, very groundwork on how to reduce the energy used in production of water. Having said this, that's a very noble cause. But if a fraction of this energy, if we used it towards encouraging water reuse, we would have had a much quicker result, a more cost-effective result, and a bigger return, an immediate return. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have long-term goals, but we should also be practical and seeing how we can solve problems immediately. So water reuse is still not on the agenda, talked about, but really not put into practice.
Really? So you say that when they talk about energy conservation or making processes more energy efficient, they do not talk about water reuse?
I'm afraid not with the same intensity. The other one is more, well, lack of a better word, more sexy, it involves much higher technology and things like this. While the water reuse, it's involved a lot of explanation, carrying the population with you. Look at the example of Singapore when they decided to do it. It was hard work. It wasn't done overnight, and they had to carry a whole population with them. So, and repeating the Singapore example worldwide requires a lot more energy and a lot more determination by the authorities than they are doing at the moment. Water reuse is a must. It's needed. It's a lifesaver, and it gives you an immediate result. I can't understand for the life of me why we are not getting there much earlier than we are.
So on the top of your head, can you think of some success stories apart from Singapore?
I wish I can. There are a lot of success stories, but they are not on the grand scale of Singapore. Because Singapore, with a stroke, they made a plan and they followed it and finished it to the point, to the date, and everything else. I can think places even like near here where we are, Jordan, Morocco. They have created policies which they are sticking to, but still they did not carry the population with them. And frankly, I hate to say this, but I think also stable governments and democratic governments are better at tackling things like water issue than other forms of government, because here we are, somebody who's under pressure, being a ruler or a government and things like this, trying to cope with all the political issues around him. And then he can have to go to the people and say, by the way, you're in any case, whether you live or not, in 10 years' time, you're all going to go thirsty. It takes a very courageous ruler or a public official to say this. So yes, we are not doing enough, and we should be doing a lot more.
So what are the biggest challenges to water reuse? It also involves revamping the infrastructure, right? You can't use the current infrastructure and ask for water reuse. So
you're absolutely right. But if we at least establish a policy and know where we're going, and then it will be a lot easier to put the thing intact. Yes, of course. First of all, most importantly, the technology is there. It's safe. It can be done very safely, and it can be done overnight if necessary. I'm not immediately asking everybody to use the Singapore model of direct or indirect water reuse, drinking water and things like this. That is very low down on my agenda. My agenda is still there is industry, there is a lot of uses which does not require, does not involve what we call the UC factor, or you don't really like that. And all these uses can easily be satisfied by
like landscape irrigation?
I have a problem with irrigation, because irrigation, I've even listened to you asking a question a few days ago. You know, we talk about irrigation. What kind of irrigation? This is a valuable resource. Water, which has been used before, is a very valuable resource. It should be used, not thrown on the land. Instead, it should be which is the best way of exploited to produce the best returns. And nobody is looking at agriculture in this way, because you need to look at it. Should it be used in every drop of water? Should it be used in agriculture? Should it be used in industry? Where does it give you the maximum return? And no, as far as I know, not a single country in the world have really looked at this issue in the real sense. And there are a lot of problems, of course, with it. You can't tell farmers all their lives and things like this, sat and did things in a certain way. Oh, you can't do it anymore because we want to use the water somewhere else. So yes, there are. But if the determination is there, if people understand the need, then we can get there.
But do you think the low price of water is responsible for the lower reuse of water? I mean, if water is priced correctly, properly, then maybe there'll be more water reuse.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have a situation where in a place, a small emirate, part of the UAE, which is called Ajman, where we have we're commercializing the sewage water, treated sewage water, and we are polishing it to an extent which is really meets WHO standard. But when I'm selling this water at cost price, it's being sold at almost similar price to desalinated water, which is being subsidized desalinated water, which is being pumped to people's houses. So why would anybody in his right mind come and buy my water, which is very good? He has to come and collect it and things like this, instead of just opening the tap at home and using it. Subsidies are dangerous. Subsidies cause a lot of problems. Subsidies badly directed are danger for our existence. Subsidies are good if you direct them in the right way, make sure that you ensure that people have money to do the basic things in life, but to subsidize costs is really distorting the way we live.
Thank you. That's a very important message. And on this note, I'm going to end this interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much.